Hello to our freaky family. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Kandi.
And this is Sips of Crime. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in for another episode. I sure hope that you guys enjoyed Happy Hour last week. That was a lot of fun.
Happy hours are always fun.
Always. And we're happy to have you guys back for another episode of Sips of Crime.
What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. I know that we say that every time. But no, we're just working on our renovation downstairs. Been working from home. I actually just recently went and visited with my sister-in-law. They came down. They live in Virginia Beach, and they came down and got a cabin for the weekend up close to us. And so we ended up spending the entire weekend there. They have a little boy, and our nephew is just so adorable. And
I know, I see his pictures on Facebook. He's so stinking cute.
He has got like the brightest blue eyes, and they're not even that like light blue like you see all the time. They're like these like deep ocean blue. And I mean, he's 8 months old, and he has like just the best expressions. Like, he's so animated, you know, and like he will just look at you, and like you can't even like, he'll just stare at you, and like you just have to think like, what are you thinking about right now? Like, what are you seeing? Like, and he's so sweet. He's such a good baby. And of course, you know, Dakota likes to play mom. So she's, you know, was holding him and loving on him. So we were able to spend the weekend with them, and, you know, we made a fire and roasted marshmallows and just had a really great weekend with family. It's always great whenever they come down, and we try to go up and see them in Virginia Beach as often as we can. So, but it's always good to have, you know, just close-knit family, and being able to spend time with them is really important.
Right.
What about you? What are you doing these days?
Nothing. Same old. You know, working. Schedule's been crazy. Daycare was closed for a little bit because of still COVID.
Yeah, the teachers actually. So our children go to the same daycare.
Yeah.
It was it was so funny. Whenever she called me and told me that it was closed, she was like, we probably would have handled it a little differently if it was a kid that had COVID, but apparently like 4 teachers came up positive, and she was like, we can't run the school without the teachers.
Right.
I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Right. And so we were working from home, and then they're doing renovations on my floor at work. So that's put me at home. So we really haven't been able to see each other.
But you've had your kid at home, which means you've been drinking a lot of coffee.
I have. And he comes up to me. He said, Mama. I said, what, buddy? He said, Mama, I shitting. I was like, what? And he said, Mommy, sit. I said, Mommy's sitting. I said, what are you doing? And he said, sitting. I said, Jacob. I looked him in the eye. I said, what'd you say? Sitting, Mommy, sitting. Daisy, sit. We're talking about the dog in the cage. I'm like, that's not what you said.
That is not what you said.
You said shitting. Whether he meant it or not.
Right.
Boys are not for the faint of heart.
I'm telling you.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you, girls aren't either. It's ridiculous. I have got a scrappy little 7-year-old, y'all. Like, she is not to be messed with. She
tried to scare me when I got here.
I know she did.
I ruined it.
I ruined it because I wasn't communicating properly with the eye language and the James Bond signals. But I'm telling you, she is scrappy. So she's been in gymnastics, right, for like ever. And she loves it. She's really talented.
Yeah, over here bending up her whole leg and her foot the other way. I'm like, you're making me hurt.
She teaches herself most of this. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, gymnastics helps her, you know, with like flips and stuff like that, and the vault and the beam, all of that she needs assistance with. But like, she taught herself how to do a back walkover. She taught herself how to do a split. Like, she could do all of these things before we even enrolled her in her first class. And let me just preface this, that whenever the sonographer told me that I was having a little girl, okay, I instantly thought of tutus and fairy wings, and we would go and get our nails done together, and that her favorite color would be pink. She would be me. Right. No, that is not what I got. At all. Furthest thing from it, I've got the biggest tomboy on this side of the Mason-Dixon. I swear to God, she wants to take out the trash with her daddy instead of helping me around the house. She wants a truck just like her daddy.
But
she played soccer.
Girls are daddy's girls.
I'm so happy that they have that relationship. My husband literally was like made to be a girl dad, like 100%. And they have this beautiful relationship, and he has this patience for her that I unfortunately never developed as a mother. She has now started riding lessons.
Yes.
And she has, I mean, just taken that by the horns. I mean, she
looks like she's super comfortable in the videos that you posted.
She is so comfortable, and she's so eager to learn, and like she's just soaking it all in, and it just makes my heart happy. Like, it's just, you know, like I said, I've got this scrappy little girl. However,
she does I will say though, for her to be as outgoing and ready to try all these things, I do feel like that is you.
She does.
That is not your husband.
Does not get that from my husband. No. Not at all. That is definitely me, and that attitude comes from me, and I'm grateful for it. So she's taken her first riding lesson. We went on Monday for her second riding lesson. Mm-hmm. The first thing that she asks her instructor is there any poop in the stall that I can scoop? I can't make this shit up.
Why does she want to scoop the poop?
I don't know. She watches these YouTube videos all day long of people with horses, and she calls it mucking, which is the correct term. It's mucking the stalls. But like, she was just so excited to do it. And the instructor was like, well, I've actually never had a kid ask me to do that before, but I can promise you that the next time you come, they will be poop in the stall for you. And she was like, awesome. Like, just ready to go. It was hilarious.
Please.
Yes, I will video it, and I will send
her
it to
being
you.
so excited to scoop some poop.
To scoop some poop.
You're going to have to save that for the rest of her life.
Yes, and hopefully I'll be able to use it against her one day.
Yeah, at her wedding.
At her wedding. So, we've been at home working. We've been taking care of our kids, being rock star moms, and getting shit done.
Yes.
We've been drinking a lot of coffee.
Yes.
So, what are we drinking today?
So, is a iced coffee spiked latte.
Whoop!
It is 14% alcohol volume.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure the company is called Iced.
I'm assuming so.
Because if I'm looking at that logo, and I think
it is gluten free.
Yeah,
for your gluten free peeps.
Very good.
For the mixologist in you, enjoy it in a 5-ounce tumbler on ice. Add it to your favorite bowl of ice cream for a delicious treat. Add 1 part vodka and 2 parts iced coffee for a wonderful martini.
Woo!
It is, again, 14%. It says to store it at 70 degrees or below. At all times, shake and pour. And it says serve chilled, refrigerate after opening.
All right.
So, we're going to attempt it. It might be terrible. It might be great.
I don't understand why somebody hasn't combined coffee and wine already.
And this is supposed to be iced coffee. Like, I could put this in my coffee in the morning. Ooh. And make an iced coffee on the way to drink wine.
On the way. That's really good.
That is freaking delicious. I was afraid it was going to be, like, absolutely terrible.
It definitely has martini vibes.
I've never had a martini.
I have had like a, what are they called? They're not like coffee martinis. They're
espresso martinis.
Espresso martinis, yes. I mean, that's obviously better than that, because I think those espresso martinis are actually made with legit espresso, so they're a little stronger in coffee. That has some hints of chocolate. Definitely some cream in there for sure.
Yeah, and see, I was afraid because of the color of it. It was going to be like too milky, creamy tasting.
I cannot find anywhere on this bottle though, like...
That has to be chocolate at the bottom.
I was about to say, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is if it, because I'm getting chocolate hints, but I can't decide if it's like more mocha or if it's like actual chocolate. Because it's very similar.
It'll say.
It's very similar to the Uptown Cocktails chocolatini that we had, except that one is, you get more of a fiery alcohol burn with that one than this one. This one is very smooth.
It's still, I feel like the
you taste the alcohol.
Yeah, but I still feel like that coffee smell And the coffee taste is stronger.
Yeah. And that Uptown chocolate martini is more chocolate. Like, there is no coffee in that.
Oh my God. This is delicious.
Yeah, that is so good.
This is dangerous.
Dangerous. Especially at 14%. You've got a murder for me today. Tell me about murder.
I do. So, I actually caught the tail end of this episode on the ID channel, the Identity Discovery or whatever. Mm-hmm. And because I caught the tail end and they were doing a complete interview with this woman, I was like, well, son of a gun, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So Margaret Rudin, she was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and was one of 3 daughters. Her family moved frequently, and before graduating high school, Margaret had lived in 15 different states.
Wow.
Right?
Was there, like, family in the military or something?
It didn't really have much.
They didn't really say, like, why they moved around so much?
No, and it really didn't have much of their previous, or her previous life or whatever. Not like our other stories.
Right. Well, I'm sorry, what year was this? Did you even say a year yet?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
Jumping ahead.
So she lived in 15 different states. Margaret had been married 4 times before meeting Ronald Rudin at the First Choice of Religious Science in Las Vegas. Learning he had been married 4 times as well, the couple got married on September 11th, 1987, this being the 5th marriage for both of them.
Woo! For both?
So, yes.
Wow.
So they're married in 1987 for the 5th time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming she had to have been born 40s.
Give or take, yeah.
If not before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, people got married so much younger back then, too.
Right. Well, and when you see her picture in a minute, you'll see that.
Gosh,
why.
5 times. You know, it's funny.
I would not even put in the effort.
I swear to God. And this is going to be a tangent, I swear. But my grandmother, my Nana, bless her soul, she has since passed. And we miss her very, very much. But that woman was married 5 times.
No, she wasn't.
Yes,
was she really?
Yes, she was. And it's so fun. I mean, I think it's just something that people did in those times. Like, they were kind of expected to be with a male partnership. And, you know, it's so funny, though, because my husband and I, we've been together since we were 14. If you guys have listened to our previous episodes, you guys know this. We've been happily married for 8 years, I think, next week. It's either 7 or 8. I'm a terrible wife.
It has to be 8 because me and Jordan have been together for 7 years.
Okay, so 8 years. And we have no desire to get divorced. But if we ever did, I would absolutely 100% not get married again.
No, we can just move in together.
I was just about to say that. Like, we would just move in together. We would get, like, a really cute, like, 3-4 bedroom house. Yep. Combine our finances. Yep. Have a mortgage together, and we would, like, just decorate it however we wanted. I would not get married again. Not because I don't enjoy being married now.
I'm not trying to do all that.
I'm not putting in the effort again.
No, I'm not trying to learn someone else. I'm not trying to have someone else learn me.
Yes.
We already know each other, so we're good.
So much time. I mean, it's been 17 years with my husband.
It's only been 7 for me and Jordan, and I am not. And I've told him that. Like, even if something was to go down between us, you do you.
Yeah.
If you want to be with someone else, go ahead. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even want to put in that effort.
No, I wouldn't either. And I couldn't imagine.
Ronald had purchased 165 acres of land in Lee Canyon and was working to sell off and divide the land. He was working on zoning issues with the property and indicated to a friend who knew his business dealings that he was borrowing money from investors in Chicago. His net worth was said to be estimated between $8 and $11 million.
Whoa!
Here is a picture of Margaret and Ronald.
Okay, so yeah, they are
they're older.
Yeah, they are in their older age. Yep. Wow.
Yes. So, you know, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of, it's like, how what do you say, 8 to 10?
8 to 11.
8 to 11 million reasons to get married for a 5th time.
Margaret and Ronald are married.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his millions of dollars in net worth. Well, apparently, Ronald disappears on December 18th of 1994. After walking to Margaret's antique shop, which was in the same strip mall that his real estate office was in, which he also happens to own, which was a few different articles that I read, not every article, but some say that he owned that strip mall.
Okay.
So she was preparing to open this antique shop, and it was only walking distance from their home. Well, Margaret said that he never showed, so she called the police to report her husband missing. The police told her they could do nothing until after 48 hours.
Oh, God, I hate that.
I still think that's the silliest thing.
It is. That is your job. Like, just look into it. Who cares if it's...
Right.
Who cares if nothing comes of it, or if you find him down the road? Like,
and I get,
prove me wrong.
Teens run away and stuff like that. But if you get a call,
yes,
and it's out of the ordinary for that person, and they are legit missing, just look into it.
Just look into it. I mean, you're getting a call from somebody who knows them better than you do.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to know whether it is an out of pattern thing for them.
Right.
And I do think that I don't think it was ever a law, but the procedure of the time limit on reporting somebody missing, I do think that they've removed that from.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do.
I'll have to look that up.
I was about to say, I'll have to do some more research on it, but I mean, like, I will never be upset with the police for doing too much.
No.
Just go and look. If he's down the road at a different store and he got hung up by a friend, cool, great. Prove me wrong that he's not missing. That's your job.
Right.
Don't tell me that I can't report somebody missing for a certain amount of hours. That's ridiculous.
I completely agree.
I hate hearing that.
Well, the police, of course, they searched the home of Margaret and Robert a few days later and said there were no findings of signs of struggle or anything unusual because, you always suspect,
of course,
the significant other.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret did state, however, he had always cheated. And every time he would say, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. She described her husband as a paranoid man who had cameras at their now demolished home, and he owned hundreds of guns.
Huh.
I felt like that was kind of weird because I have cameras at my house.
We have cameras.
I'm not paranoid. And we have guns.
Yeah, we have guns and cameras, and I'm not paranoid.
I'm not paranoid. That's
the way we live in the country, though. I mean, like, it's absolutely normal.
But my husband also owns his business.
Yeah.
Like,
you have a lot of, like, expensive equipment on your property on a day-to-day basis.
Right, like go ahead and try to steal. We're going to catch you on camera, and you're going to go to jail. Yeah. If Jordan doesn't beat you outside and beat the shit out of you first.
And if the cops allow you to make a report within a certain amount of time.
Well, if he beats the shit out of him, I ain't even going to make a report.
Keep that one off the table.
So don't come to ours. So, anyway, a few days later, on December 22nd, so he went missing on December 18th.
Uh-huh.
So, on December 22nd of 1994, police found his car covered with a layer of dust parked at the Crazy Horse 2, a gentleman's club on the Las Vegas Strip. So here's his car.
A layer of dust.
So clearly it had been sitting there, which 4 days.
I was just getting ready to ask you, like, would
and it's a layer of dust. Is that pollen?
Yeah. I was about to say, what's the pollen count for Las Vegas in that time of it?
Well, I guess December. They ain't got no pollen in December. Well, maybe they do. It's warmer over that way.
It is hot in Vegas.
So, yeah, whatever. I don't know anything about that. I've never been to Vegas.
A layer of dust in December after 4 days seems suspicious to me.
Okay.
Moving on.
Anyway, car's been there for a while. Well, then, fast forward to January 21st, 1995, which is just because, this was December. So don't let that 1995 make it seem like it's a long time.
It's a new year.
His charred and dismembered remains were discovered near Nelson's Landing, which is about 50 miles south of Las Vegas, along with the burnt remains of an antique steamer truck.
Antique steamer trunk. Huh.
He had been shot in the head at least 4 times by a .22 caliber gun. Police later searched the Rudin residence and found blood splatter in the bedroom as well as semen on the floor that had been removed from the house by authorities to test. I get the blood splatter, but the semen...
Like while you're being murdered?
She didn't say she was raped or anything.
Mm-hmm.
If they had sex on the floor, who cares?
It's like, what does that have anything to do with they are married? Like...
Right.
Maybe that was just like... Maybe that was left over, from like days ago. Like,
you never know.
Before she decided to kill him.
You never know. Well.
I'm jumping to conclusions that she killed him. But my point is, we're talking about a murder here. Why would his
But of
semen...
course they they searched the house.
Sure.
Because that's where he lived. You know, that was, I guess, the last place that she had saw him and everything.
Yeah.
Whatever. You got semen on the floor. Whatever y'all do in your bedroom is none of my damn business.
None of my business.
But apparently it's the authorities' business. On July 21st of 1996, so this is a good year and a half later, a .22 caliber Ruger handgun with a silencer was found in Lake Mead, wrapped in a plastic grocery bag, and it was traced back to Ronald Rudin. The handgun was later confirmed to be the same gun that was used to shoot Ronald those 4 times. But Ronald had reported that gun missing back in 1988, shortly after him and Margaret married.
Oh. Suspicious.
Dun, dun, dun. This is good.
It's so good.
It is very good.
This
iced coffee wine is good.
Somebody should have mixed coffee and wine a long time ago.
Yes, if iced coffee wants to send us some more spiked lattes,
we will be more than happy to
send it on. I'll give you my address.
Test it out.
Or if you have different flavors.
Ooh, like a caramel.
Ooh, that would be so good.
Yes, with some whipped cream.
We're going to have to Google it. On April 18th, 1997, the grand jury handed down the murder indictment against Margaret. But by this time, she had already left the state. Prosecutors theorized that Margaret had shot her husband while he was asleep in bed. Police found blood in the room, but an expert testified that the amount of blood that they found was less than a drop of blood from an eyedropper. So imagine how small of a drop of blood.
Like, I mean, if she shot him in that room, like, there would have been way more.
And that was my next sentence. An expert defense also testified that there was no evidence of cleanup, and there would be much more evidence had Ronald been killed in their bedroom. So, take a sip of your wine and get some coffee wine, because this next little tidbit is going to be a little shocking. Apparently, now they've been married 5 times, right?
Both of them.
Yes. Apparently, Ronald's 3rd wife, Peggy Rudin, died in the same bedroom via gunshot wound in 1978.
What?
A crime scene analysis testified that some of the luminescence found on the ceiling following Ronald's murder could have resulted from Peggy's suicide. But they say this was not the case, since the luminous on the south wall did not match to Peggy's location when she died.
Okay.
So,
you're telling me that she committed suicide in
his 3rd wife.
Committed suicide.
Not the 4th, the 3rd.
Committed suicide in the same bedroom that he lives and sleeps now with Miss Margaret.
In 1978. And him and Margaret...
I was about to say, how many years...
got married in 1987.
Okay. Over 10. Almost 10. You said 78.
Yep. Peggy died in 1978 via the gunshot wound.
Right.
Via suicide. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Via suicide. They got married in 1987.
Yeah, so almost 10 years.
And he had been married again.
Right,
within those 10 years. Yes. So, weird, but believable.
Okay.
So, Margaret spent the next 2.5 years in hiding until she was arrested in Massachusetts in November of 1999. So that's just 2.5 years later.
Yeah, but if you didn't do anything, why are you in hiding?
Agreed. Completely agreed. But they found her. She was extradited back to Nevada to face the murder charges for the death of her husband. Margaret went on trial March 2nd of 2001. People called her Black Widow.
Ooh.
And when asked how she felt about it, she stated, quote, "I don't think anybody would dare call me that to my face," unquote.
A little feisty.
Right? Well, and it might be just the way I'm reading it, but come on now. How else is she going to say that? You know?
Come on.
So her defense claimed that her husband was killed due to illegal activities that he was involved in, but the prosecutor argued that Margaret was the one that killed her husband in order to prevent him from divorcing her, which would cause her to lose what she would inherit from his estate. All of that really make sense. So it would be a hard argument.
Well, I mean, it's the number one reason that wives murder their husbands is insurance money or inheritance. I mean, it is what it is.
But if he was involved in illegal stuff, then I could understand that too.
Yeah.
Well, she was found guilty on May 2nd, 2001, and on August 31st, she was sentenced to life in prison with possibility of parole after 20 years.
Okay.
Here was her wanted poster.
Oh my god.
Because, you know, she was missing.
She looks like she looks like such a debutante.
You know those, what do they call them?
Yeah, her glamour.
Yes, her glamour shot. Yes, that's what I was looking for.
My mother had those done too. I swear, they were all the rage in the 80s.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Big
oh, yeah,
hair.
she's like...
Oh, yeah, all of the facial, yes, with the big hair.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how they used that one on her.
Right.
On her mugshot.
Well...
You're only on page 2.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just surprised. You're already, I mean, she's already been convicted. She's in jail.
There wasn't a lot about, like, her before.
That means that there's so much more to talk about. You've got more pages. This is crazy.
Just a little bit. So, well, in 2002, Margaret applied for an appeal saying she was denied effective assistance of counsel. Mm-hmm. Which the Nevada Supreme Court denied.
Okay.
As of 2008, no new record of federal collateral review could be found. So, in 2008, Margaret was given a new trial. Not the trial you're thinking. Clark County District Judge, so county, District Judge Sally Lohor, I think that's how you pronounce that, ruled that the lawyers for Margaret, she's now 65 at the time, they were not prepared to defend her 7 years ago in her 2001 trial. Uh-huh. She also ruled that Michael Amdor, which was Margaret's lead attorney at the time, was not effective and apparent, and her new attorney, Christopher Oram, agreed with this.
Huh.
So here she is for
in
her court new county trial, I guess. Mm-hmm. I guess following the command or ranks or whatever.
Up the ladder.
Unfortunately, on May 10th of 2010, the Nevada Supreme Court ruled that Margaret would not be getting another trial, and the lower appeals court's ruling was overturned, and the original conviction of life sentence would stay in place. A little over a year later, there was a report that Margaret filed a habeas corpus petition in the federal court seeking a new trial and reversal of her conviction based on the ineffective assistance of trial counsel, impermissible hearsay testimony, faulty jury instructions, and several other things like her attorney didn't prepare for the trial. He went on a month-long vacation before the trial started.
Ooh.
How you go on a month-long vacation before you're supposed to represent somebody?
You don't. You don't.
Hearsay. Agreed.
It's all hearsay.
Hearsay.
Is that hearsay?
Hearsay.
I think it's hearsay.
Hearsay. On January 21st. On January 25th, 2012, District Court Judge Roger L. Hunt dismissed Margaret's federal habeas corpus case with prejudice. In a 9-page decision, Judge Hunt found that Margaret's petition was not filed in a timely manner. Well, so that was 2012 for the district court. The one before was the county district. So we're I guess assuming that we're going through the motions of each rank.
Okay. We're gonna define habeas corpus for you guys really quick. Because I need a little lesson as well. It says the great writ of habeas corpus is a fundamental right in the Constitution that protects against unlawful and indefinite imprisonment. Translated from Latin, it means show me the body. Okay. Habeas corpus has historically been an important instrument to safeguard individual freedom against arbitrary executive power.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so if that helps you guys out at all, like I said, I heard her say it a couple of times, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all kind of on the same page.
It's okay. I didn't think to put the definition in there.
No, it's okay.
So, 2012, the district court judge, that it apparently wasn't filed. Her petition was not filed in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to fast forward to September 10th, 2014.
Goodness.
So, over 2 years later.
Yeah.
In a split decision by a 3-judge panel, the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the district court's order dismissing Margaret's federal habeas corpus despite what it acknowledged to be serious issues with her representation and prosecutions. Both pre- and post-convictions, the court deemed that it was compelled to deny her petition and then acknowledged that it was troubled by the case. Excerpts from the opinion conclusion are, quote, "We are troubled by the outcome of this case for many reasons. Margaret Rudin's direct appeal and collateral review proceedings have been pending in other state or federal court for a combined total of 13 years. Well, she claims that she has suffered prejudice at the hands of her own attorneys and misconduct. Yet, she has never had an opportunity to present those claims in court. Rudin's defense counsel indisputably engaged in egregious professional misconduct during the course of her underlying criminal trial. On direct appeal of her judgment of conviction, the Nevada Supreme Court acknowledged that Rudin's trial was plagued not only with inadequacies on the part of defense counsel, but misconduct and legal error on the part of the state and court. Although 2 members of the Nevada Supreme Court found the record sufficiently clear as to the inherent prejudice created by the trial counsel to require immediate reversal of Rudin's judgment of conviction, a majority of the court declined to address the effect of these errors, finding them more appropriate for resolution on collateral review. At this point, that is a whole bunch of
legal jargon that I hope you're about to sum up here in a second.
I was just trying to get, what was actually said. And when I was reading it and
I appreciate the effort and the research and the educational reading that you just presented.
And I
didn't understand a damn word of it, though.
No, and I read and read and read and read and read, and I'm like, you're just saying stuff. That's not what they're doing, but that's what I felt. At this point, basically, Rudin is still in prison, having served 13 years of her life in sentence for murder. We know from the state post-conviction court that the state's proof of guilt was not a slam dunk by any stretch of imagination. We also know from the post-conviction court that Rudin had been represented by competent counsel. The jury's verdict may have been different. Thus, what we do know is whether Rudin is lawfully in prison, and yet, regrettably, that is something we may never know.
So there is still question to this date, ultimately, is what you're saying, of whether or not she truly should be there.
Yes, because she did not have, basically that whole legal spiel.
Right.
Is that she did not have
sufficient counsel.
They did not represent her correctly.
Right.
They did not
and
try to even defend her.
Am I the only one who is also questioning kind of a lack of evidence here?
Mm-hmm. And that was my whole thing reading it.
Yeah, I understand, this whole defense about, incompetent representation is, a tale as old as time. They always go there, But, and it's something that we're all, I think, fairly familiar with. But normally there's a lot more evidence in these types of murder cases. I mean, yes, they have a body, and he obviously has the gunshot wounds, and, they have the murder weapon. But I feel like there's a far lack.
You didn't see her fingerprints on that murder weapon.
That's what I'm saying. There's how are you tying that murder weapon to her?
Right.
What's there?
You're not.
Other than a microscopic, what did you say? An eyedropper of blood that was found in
that's
the bedroom.
Less than my pinky nail.
I would bleed more if I cut my leg shaving.
I do when I cut this little thing right here. Look, that part. I have to miss
Look, I have them too.
Do you? Okay, well, every time I cut that thing, it bleeds. Where did the glitter come from?
Dakota.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what has happened, but there has been some sort of a glitter explosion in my household.
I was like, where did this come from?
This is day 3.
Okay. This is fine. I was just wondering.
Day 3 of the glitter explosion. But there is a huge lack of evidence here.
Yes.
I mean, I'm surprised that they're not bringing that up more.
All the articles that I read were ultimately the same thing. Mm-hmm. But they don't have it. I mean, 99%.
You have not convinced me that she's the murderer at this point, you know? No. I mean, like, I don't understand.
I didn't convince myself.
Exactly. Like, I don't understand, like, why that's not being, you know, brought up more, I guess.
You would think it would have been.
Like, I feel like there's, like, this huge thing about, like, you know, oh, the defense didn't do their job. Like, okay, that makes sense, and I can probably agree with that. You certainly don't go on a month-long vacation, you know, prior to a trial.
About to defend
somebody. Yeah, you should be doing research and... alleged murderer. You know, you should be preparing for that court case. You should be preparing for that trial, gathering information. You know, I get that. But there is no tie to her and the murder weapon. I don't understand it.
So on March 10th, 2015, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals withdrew its opinion of September 10th, 2014, and issues a revised opinion affirming the trial court's decision that Margaret was entitled to a new trial as a direct result of professional misconduct and prejudicial conflict of interest by Michael Amdor, who was her original attorney. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, on February 29th, 2016, the U.S. Supreme Court denied a petition by the Attorney General of Nevada challenging the Ninth Circuit's ruling. So everybody's just like ruling and challenging and ruling and challenging. And
going back and forth and back and forth.
It's just ridiculous at this point.
I mean,
why do you have to go through all these hoops just to get your voice heard?
Yeah.
Even if you are still guilty.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and prove that. Let's get some people on this case to prove it. Give me some hard evidence.
And attorneys and lawyers.
And some adequate representation. I mean, you know, one of the biggest things that drives me nuts about some of these cases, and we're going to go into some of them in later episodes, you know, such as like the West Memphis 3 and all of these things, you know, but it's so ridiculous to think that, you know, a simple, I'm sorry, but after everything that I've heard today, I mean, she deserves a fair trial. Whether or not they're guilty or not, that is part of our Constitution. It's an American right that you get a fair trial. And it doesn't matter to me if you have murdered people or if you are completely innocent. You deserve to have a fair trial. That is an American right, and it needs to be done properly. And if you're doing your job properly, you're going to get the conviction. The outcome is going to be in your favor. Right. It is what it is. Evidence doesn't lie. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't, it drives me nuts whenever the court system botches stuff like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's completely...
This is someone's life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whether she did it or not, we don't know because you haven't presented a case, you know, compelling anyone to believe one way or another. You're denying all possible future outcomes and being heard. And that's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Completely agreed.
And it happens far too often.
On a happier note, she ended up being released on parole from Florence McClure Women's Correctional Center in North Las Vegas on January 10th, 2020.
Wow.
She told a news article that she intended to relocate to Chicago to be closer to her daughter, granddaughter, and great-grandchildren. She stated that she was optimistic her murder conviction... She stated that she... Mother truckers.
All damn day.
Our phone don't ever blow up like this.
My computer, every single time my computer goes to sleep and I open it back up to make sure that the recording is okay, it goes brrr, and I don't know why it's doing that.
My phone does not do this. Any other time of day. Of course not. Okay.
Closer to her granddaughter.
She stated that she was optimistic her murder conviction would one day be tossed. She was 76 years old at the time of her release. Here's a picture.
Wow.
When she was released. Finally, a judge in May of 2022. May of 2022.
It was just like a couple months ago.
Yeah. Vacated the murder conviction of the now 78-year-old Margaret after she had already spent the 20 years in prison, which she got out on parole.
Yeah.
Judge Richard Boulware ruled that Rudin received ineffective legal representation from her late defense attorney. I mean, heck, she's already out now.
Right.
So,
glad you came to that conclusion now.
Right, when she's already released on parole.
20 years later.
But after her conviction was vacated, the possibility was left open that she could still be retried for her husband's murder.
She could go through this all over again?
But after 30 days of waiting, they can no longer convict her or have her retried. Stated 2 articles that I read. Mm-hmm. Whether that's true or not, we're just getting our information from other articles and other sources of information. So as of now,
she's free.
She's free. She supposedly cannot be tried anymore. She is now 78 years old. And there are 3 books that are written about Margaret and her story, along with very many TV shows that she's in. So one book is called If I Die, A True Story of Obsessive Love, Uncontrollable Greed, and Murder by Michael Fleeman. Black Widow, The True Story of Margaret Rudin by Brianna Valdes. Evil Women by John Merlot. And then she said that she was going to write her own book. But there was no evidence yet that she did that I could find.
I would look forward to that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, this is kind of your textbook situation of, this is what we think. This is what it looks like. Yep, we found a little bit of blood here. This is enough to support what we're trying to make look to be realistic.
That blood could have been from his 3rd wife.
Exactly.
2 wives ago.
And I mean, it's just insane to think about, the idea that a woman possibly, and again, I'm not going to say one way or another because
she spent 20 years in prison.
That's 20 years of her life that not only she had to endure, but her family had to live without her. And
right, whether she did it or not, because you clearly don't have the evidence.
We don't know. We don't know if she did it or not. And of course, she's going to constantly state that she didn't. Who wouldn't? And then you've got your prosecutors who are saying like, oh yeah, it's a slam dunk. But it's not, it's not. And for her to be denied a new trial so many times, and for so many people to get new trials for stuff that they clearly did. It's like, it's a clear-cut situation that you're guilty. A new trial isn't going to change that outcome. I don't feel like this was enough.
No.
And I do believe that she was kind of dealt a crap card there.
Crazy.
It is a really crazy case, and I don't think we've had one on here where I've been, like, legitimately torn.
Yeah.
I mean, she absolutely could have done it.
Oh, yeah. Especially if it went missing right after they got married.
Yeah,
it's
super convenient, I can understand.
But, you had to have been planning that
I was just about to say, you
have
to be planning that when you put that wedding ring on. It's like,
and
okay,
it just doesn't.
As soon as I have that rock, I'm going to grab that gun and stash it somewhere. What?
I don't know. And you don't have enough evidence. You're saying this little eye droplet of blood is evidence. Semen on the freaking floor.
Right,
on the floor of the bedroom.
It's
the bedroom.
It's the bedroom.
Where everybody fornicates.
You're supposed to have semen on that floor. I'm sorry. If you don't, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing,
Don't be so
people?
vanilla. Don't be so vanilla.
Some spice in your life. Yeah, that one's a crazy one. Good job. You did a great job. I actually really did. I enjoyed that to a certain extent, to where you could enjoy
You're
murder
just mad
podcasts.
because you don't know.
I hate unsolved ones.
That's why you don't like it.
I hate
and I couldn't wait.
Unsolved
I could
crimes.
not wait to tell you this one.
I want a clear answer.
There's not a clear answer.
I want a whodunit.
And you can't
I want rock solid evidence.
You can't get it off of this one.
You didn't give it to me. Ugh.
Sorry.
Well, we appreciate you guys so much. We really love interacting with you guys and enjoying, just conversations. And we have gotten a lot of requests for cases, and we really enjoy those. So please, please, please keep sending them. We do post a little forum on our story on Instagram where you guys can like type in some cases that you want to hear, and we are working our way through them. So if you haven't heard yours yet, it is coming up. Don't think that we forgot about you. We have a very organized list of everything, but I will go ahead and just state here, we've had some suggestions for the Gabby Petito case, and it will make it on our list at some point, but unfortunately that one is still a little, it's just a little too new, little too fresh for us. We do prefer to...
And the fact that there are still news articles and clippings coming out about it.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that, you know, we're covering the exact information, we're getting our correct information, and we're not doing anything that's assuming or anything.
Or premature.
And because it's, unfortunately, it's still a developing case.
Yeah. I mean, as much as...
not developing.
Well, I mean, we want to say that it's solved, but I mean, like you said...
There's still information coming out.
Yeah, and so it's still a little new to us. It will make it on the ballot at some point, but it's probably not going to be something that we do anytime soon, because we do prefer to just bring light to some older cases, and just make sure that some of those cases don't get lost. Whereas, you know, everybody is very up to date with the Gabby Petito case. So like I said, we've had some suggestions for that one, and it will be done at some point, but it's just not something that we're going to be putting at the top of our list right now. So,
but if you have other cases,
yes, please continue to send them in. We do every single one of your cases,
and we are going in order. We'll get to it eventually. Like
absolutely, we are like, I mean, as the suggestions come in, they get placed on our case list, and we always make a notate of who suggested it and where the suggestion came from, whether it was Facebook or Instagram or an email. You can email your case suggestions,
and you can remain anonymous.
Absolutely. Or, you know, send us like your funny stories about your personal.
I miss those.
Yes, seriously, we want to get back into listeners' tales. Send us your funny stories. Maybe we can like start doing like a theme.
Maybe.
It doesn't have to be like just like true crime or paranormal.
No, it doesn't. If you have a funny story that you want to share to lighten the mood at the end of a really rough murder case, send it in. If you have a funny story about I mean, we won't use your child's name or anything, but if you have a funny story about yourself or your child or a friend, send it in.
Yeah,
use
funny
fake names. Who cares?
Yeah, change the names. We don't care. Grandma stories are hilarious.
They are.
We love grandma stories. Big supporters of grandmas over here. So, you know, like I said, just anything that you guys want to send, it is at sipsofcrime@gmail.com. And again, like Kandi was saying, you can remain anonymous. We don't have to, you know, shout out your name or your kids' names or your grandma's name.
Or even if you don't want to make up a name, you just tell us in the email, like, hey,
don't say my name.
Don't say my name. Don't say so-and-so's name. And we'll make up other names. It's fun.
Yes, we're very creative.
Beatrice and...
It'll be fun.
Jasmine.
For sure. Beatrice and Jasmine. That's it. I love it. No, that's absolutely the names of our next anonymous listeners' tales.
Is that our...
Beatrice and Jasmine.
Okay.
It's happening.
Okay.
We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. You can join our freaky little family both on Instagram and Facebook and find all of the featured photos from this episode
at Sips of Crime.
For a chance to have your story featured on one of our future episodes, send us a Gmail
to sipsofcrime@gmail.com.
And you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we would really appreciate you giving us a 5-star review because it really helps other people find our podcasts and our episodes. Thanks for listening. Stay alive.